Well, thank you for logging in for your parkerweather.info October 25th, 2010 update. Well, here are some of the rainfall totals from Hurricane Maggie that really impacted Taiwan about 3 or 4 days ago. 118 millimeters in portions of northern, 112, 110, and this was just over a 4-hour period. So that's some pretty heavy rainfall. And then here's a map indicating the entire day of the 22nd, the entire 24-hour period. In portions of northeastern Taiwan got 15 inches, southeastern anywhere from 13 to 14 inches, and that was just on the 22nd, not to mention the 20th and the 21st where they got the heaviest amount of rain. Well, currently we have a tropical storm, which was 16W, which we talked about a couple days ago, and it's known as Tropical Storm Chaba, and it looks like it's going to start heading towards the Japanese coast and should be there by the 30th. The morning of the 30th, affecting southern Japan, so we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens with this. What is now Tropical Depression Richard has moved inland and is just over the border of Guatemala and Mexico, and by Wednesday should find its way out into the Gulf of Mexico as a depression. And then here is our current loop with that. We are seeing the visible imagery that is sliding over the Yucatan Peninsula, and it is bringing some still pretty heavy rain to that entire area. And then here, excuse me, here is our JSL loop, and again that shows cloud heights. So we're seeing the cloud heights starting to steadily decrease as that storm moves more and more over inland. So here's our surface data plot with current METAR reports from all major reporting stations. The cold front that's draped across Colorado, stretching into Southern California, is creating massive amounts of rain in the upper Midwest. But notice a little bit closer to our neck of the woods along the South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia coast, they're getting heavy rain with a trough that's dug through that area. But every plot is reporting a nice southerly flow. So with that southerly flow, it's bringing plenty of moisture into that area. So here is our current, just a still image of radar imagery. South Georgia getting hit with some pretty strong storms. Same with South Carolina, North Carolina, and then the western portion of Pennsylvania and southern New York getting hit with some pretty steady rain. One thing we're going to look at in what's causing a lot of the rainfall in the upper Midwest is something known as diffluence. And basically what occurs is at the bottom edge of this trough right here, with all of these isobars packed closely together, as these isobars begin to spread out, that spreading out causes what is known as diffluence in the atmosphere, and that causes uplift in this entire area in the atmosphere. So we're going to take away this circular thing and show you all the entire area where the storms are initiating are occurring in this area of diffluence where we're getting uplift. And you can see, when coupled with the radar, a lot of storms, a lot of heavy rain, a broad expanse of rain across that area of diffluence in Nebraska, South and North Dakota, Minnesota, and northern Iowa. And then just to look off the Pacific coast, the impending low that is going to begin to digging down into that area has started to initiate some storms in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. So that high wind warning we talked about the other day has begun to, yesterday it was affecting South Dakota, pretty much just the area I'm circling. Now they've moved it into Wisconsin, the entire state of Michigan, portions of, it looks like the Lake Michigan where Chicago is going to be affected, northern Indiana and Ohio. And it looks like we're also going to have some severe weather pop up in that area as well. It looks like this is going to be our first moderate chance for severe weather of the season, slight risk, and then the probabilistic chance along with the brown arid circular area. So one thing we're seeing with this system, and I talked about it earlier with all the METAR reports reporting a southerly wind, we're getting that moist burst of air thanks to a high pressure that's located off in the Atlantic, and it's bringing in a lot of moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. And again, once we zoom in just a little bit, we see that moderate area for severe weather is going to affect Indianapolis, Columbus, Ohio, Detroit, and then all the way into portions of the Upper Peninsula. And that yellow is the slight area, and then we're going to back off a little bit. It's going to touch the northern edge of Kentucky as it goes well into Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan. Well, that low pressure, this is 48 hours from now, so Wednesday morning at about 7 a.m., that low pressure is probably one of the strongest mid-latitude cyclones I've ever seen in terms of absolute low pressure, with 264 the GFS is predicting. Absolutely massive, and that's what's going to cause this high wind watch. When you get these isobars really closely packed together, it increases the wind flow in the area, and they're going to get gusts of up to 50 to 60 miles an hour with this system. Here is just the exact same time period, but this is the inset model, and then this is our NAM, and this one is saying 966. So that one said 964, this one is 966. Pretty good agreement in the strength of this storm as it moves north of the upper Midwest. Along with this heavy storm is going to be an intense blast of cold air on the western side of the low, as it funnels cold air into Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, that entire area. And we're going to see some pretty strong storms move in with this as well. Here's the exact same model, but this is from the NSAP. This is actually the NAM, still predicting a very, very strong storm at 850 millibars as well. So here is our 200 millibar jet stream. And this low is really going to dig down into the United States and cause heavy amounts of severe weather across that entire area that we pointed out earlier. One thing that's really helping this system is they are getting that southerly moisture pumped into the area, like I showed you with that graphic from Google Earth. That high pressure off the Atlantic coast is bringing in a lot of moisture, and it's taking dew points up into the 60s all the way up into Wisconsin, upper 50s all the way almost up into Canada. So some pretty heavy moisture being pushed into the area. Well, this is what is known as theta E, and we're going to start looking at some of our severe weather indices. And theta E basically, once we get into the higher numbers, is more likely to see severe weather along that entire area. This is our MU CAPE, which is our most usable CAPE, which is convective available potential energy, and looks like we're seeing localized areas of 920 along in the Chicago area, 540. It would, in terms of severe weather, you're going to get your most intense storms when you get into the 2000s, anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000. But it appears the models are hitting at this amount, 920, 840, 540, in that whole area is going to be enough to have some storms pop off in the area. And then this is our 3-kilometer storm relative helicity. Some absolutely staggering numbers, 500 in this area, 500 in the area in question of severe weather, and then 500, 854, a localized high. And we're looking at values of about anything above 250 to 300. You're most likely going to see some pretty strong mesocyclones, and we're looking at numbers of 854. So some of these numbers that we're seeing with our 3-kilometer storm relative helicity are absolutely staggering. Well, this is our precipitable water, and it's an indices that tells us how much water is going to be available in the atmosphere for the dynamics to uplift the water into the atmosphere to cause severe storms. And it looks like a localized high of 1.5 in Louisiana, 1.21 in northern Iowa, 1.1 in Iowa, and northern Indiana. And this is about the time they're expecting those storms to pop around the morning of the 24th. So this is how we sort of identify our precipitable water. 1/2 inch or less is pretty low moisture content. So everything I see on here is at least over 1/2 inch, 1/2 to 1.25, and that appears to be our area that we're most seeing. It's about low moisture content, and we could even make the argument that because we're so far out, those models could potentially increase the numbers. So moderate to high moisture content, 1.25 to 1.75 inches. So it appears there is going to be enough moisture in the atmosphere to make a lot of these storms pop. Well, we're going to continue to watch this and continue to update the website with severe weather warnings and watches as we move into Wednesday morning with this, I would say, historic mid-latitude cyclone low pressure that's going to dig its way into the United States over the next couple of days. Well, thanks for tuning in for your parkerweather.info update for the 25th. Have a great day, and please be sure to join us at our blog at parkerweather.blogspot.com for all updates. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.